Hello and welcome back to another video. Today's scary bear attack takes us to the Tuscarora Overlook Trail in Douthat State Park in Virginia. The hills of this park are packed with dense forests of evergreens and deciduous trees. The deciduous trees drop leaves every fall, which form a crispy layer along the ground. This layer is an important function in the habitat, but this video isn't about that. The evergreen trees here include pine, spruce, and hemlock trees, which make it a dark environment that allows predators to sneak up on prey very easily. With white-tailed deer and turkey all over the underbrush, life here is amazing for the bobcats, coyotes, and black bears, with them having plenty to eat. Virginia has around 17,000 black bears, with the population not going down any time soon, despite the state's broad hunting seasons. Unlike black bears in the western states, bears in Virginia are almost always black in color. On the afternoon of September 17, 2017, a woman, who we will refer to as Jane, was out for a relaxing hike through the astonishing mountains of the park with a couple of dogs, who trotted along the trail site sniffing anything that presented an alerting scent. For several miles, the dogs kept Jane company and watched for anything that interested them. They without a doubt smelled deer and raccoons as they carried along the trail, but in this day, one scent seemed to elude their sensitive noses for some reason. With them spending much of the day, Jane and her dogs were now a few hours into their hike. As Jane and her dogs approached the overlook at about 1 p.m., they must have walked right past a very dangerous onlooker concealed in the brush near the trail. It isn't clear whether the black bear had followed them unnoticed, or if it had suddenly appeared behind them. Hiking down the trail, Jane was staring ahead of her when she was driven forward and onto her face. The impact came from nowhere and immediately disoriented Jane, but the pain and pressure of a hungry black bear's teeth quickly brought her back to a normal state. As Jane rolled to her side, she could see a black bear latched onto her leg and started to kick the bear with her other leg. As the bear slashed her legs with its paws, while it tried to fend off her kicks, the puncture wounds in her legs tore and bled. After a couple of well-placed kicks to the bear's head, it switched its attack to her other leg. It caught her lower leg in its jaws and shook its head to set its teeth deep in her flesh. Thoughts of what to do must have raced through her mind as she determined how to handle this violent attack. Jane kicked and yelled as the bear bit into her legs over and over, while it clawed and gashed them. She knew this bear wasn't defending itself, as it came from behind to attack her. As the bear bit into her legs, her dogs ran around barking and charging towards the bear. Their dashing and darting around confused the bear and distracted it from finishing its kill. The bear released its grip on Jane's leg and darted back into the brush, leaving her bleeding and in pain. As the dogs chased the bear a short distance, Jane pulled herself together. The last thing she knew was she was enjoying the beautiful scenery, and the next minute, she was sitting there after the brutal attack. Jane pulled her legs underneath her and stood to her feet. The adrenaline has dulled the pain of the puncture claw wounds on her legs. She could see her blood trickling from wounds that hurt, and she wondered if she could sit and wait for another hiker, or risk returning down the same trail she had just been ambushed on. After some thought, she knew that waiting would probably attract the aggressive bear again, and that was a risk she wasn't willing to take. Slowly, Jane began making her way down the trail, while calling her dogs. They had just returned from chasing the bear and seemed uninjured. After a few hours of limping her way down the trail, Jane arrived at the trailhead with her vehicle parked there. Jane happened to get in touch with emergency services and requested first responders to her location. Jane was transported to the hospital, and her puncture wounds were cleaned and closed with an undisclosed number of stitches. Over the next few weeks, Jane made a full recovery. Wildlife officials initiated a search for the bear, and due to the nature of the attack, decided the bear would have to be put down. After reviewing the facts of this episode, I have a few questions for you to answer. What could Jane have done differently to prevent or avoid this attack? Is Virginia a hotspot for bear attacks? And why didn't Jane's dogs pick up the bear scent? I'll be more than happy to read and respond to your thoughts, so please post them in the comments section below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking the like button, then the subscribe button. And remember to be careful in bear country.